And you and Fraken make your way there. As you approach the building, it's kind of it's actually well kept, and you see on the front the big sign that he's known for, this big sign of a magical star exploding, and all around it are various little trinkets and bottles that seem to be sparkling with potions and things. Here it is, Vorfashali's Voon, the feathered serpent. You make your way inside the building, hoping to see your old friend. And sure enough, there he is. He's kind of moving about inside this room that's just cramped, full of all kinds of trinkets and stone pieces of all kinds of designs and shapes, various books. Staffs are leaning against walls and in corners. It's just full of stuff. And he's trinking around. He's doing all kinds of stuff, maybe cleaning, whatever. But he does notice you enter because there's a magical sound of a ring that goes off as you open the door. And with a big smile on your faces, you and Fraken introduce yourself.
Vorfashali, well met, old friend.
Huh? Who's that? He turns around rapidly. Fraken and Rafki. How long has it been?
Long.
How long has it been since we've seen each other? It's been a long time. My God.
At least a month, maybe longer.
At least. And of course, as you enter the room, there's Vorfashali looking the way he always has. He has got this long, bright red hair, somewhat unkempt at this point. He's a tall fellow. He's got these really bright blue piercing eyes, and it's like you've always known him to be. He is this exotic looking person who's almost as exotic as his personality. What can I do for you? Rafkus?
First things first, I brought you some marvelous mushrooms. I know how much you like them.
Oh God, yes.
Hand him over.
And he reaches out.
Pouch of mushrooms.
He reaches out and he grabs hold of them, and he clasps your other hand and says, "Oh, thank you, my friend. I love these, and you're one of the few that knows those secrets." And he looks over to Fraken and says, "Fraken, where have you been? And Fraken looks at him and says, "My friend, the journeys have been long and hard. It is good to see you once again, and I've brought something for you." And his blue bright eyes widen as Fraken pulls a small pouch from his belt, and he cups it in both hands and stretches it out towards Voon. Voon, his eyes widen. He reaches out and he grabs the small bag and he says, "What is it? Tell me." Fraken says, "Just open it up and see. I travel all through the north, and I found these, and maybe they'll be of use to you, maybe not. I don't know." He peers inside the bag, and he begins to reach in, and he pulls out these small stones that are oddly shaped. I mean, they're in shapes of hammers, and one is in the shape of a dragon. Very intricately designed things. And Voon kind of stands there and pauses for a second, and he says, "Where did you find these?" Fraken replies, "As I said, to the north. There's a lot of things up there to find. These in particular came from let's just say a cavern far to the north. I won't say no more than that." "Are they magical?" "I can't tell," replies Fraken. And with that, Voon, with interest, eyes still widened, turns his back on you guys, and he moves over to a small table where he likes to keep a few books and other little items that are in need of being organized into his little cramped house. He sets them on the table. Suddenly you see him stand erect. His hands come out to his sides. You begin to see him look upwards. Now his back is to you at this point, but Rafkus, you can tell he's up to he's doing something magical. And he looks,
magic spell, I would assume.
He looks down at the items displayed before him, and it's like he cast something on him. In fact, it's pretty obvious he just casted something on him. And suddenly, it ends. He turns around abruptly, looks at Fraken. "These are interesting finds indeed. How much do you want for them?" And Fraken says, whatever you think they're worth.
And I elbow Franklin real quick. 50 gold pieces, no less. Well, Franken, do you want to go talk to him now, or should we go to the Rusty Dragon and wet our whistle?
I think, yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Spend some of that gold.
Have we spoken to him about the goblins? Or did I just come in at the very beginning there?
No, I didn't mention the increased goblin activity to him. Go ahead. It's a good idea.
So I'd just like to ask Boo if he done it, if there's been any travellers in recently who have been saying anything maybe about increased goblin activity in the area.
He kind of looks at you and pauses to think, but reveals that no, there's not really. I mean, nothing more than usual. And
No.
as you guys know, there's goblins that they're all over the place in the hinterlands, and they're more of a nuisance than a major threat to Sandpoint. But nothing out of the ordinary strikes him.
Okay. Well, thank him for his time, and I think we'll head for the Rusty Dragon.
I take a step forward and, sorry, it's been a long time since I've spoken to someone.
All right.
You can give me ale.
Okay, he's obviously kind of nervous by you. You are intimidating by your size and your look, and your half orc appearance as well. Is quite intimidating to a few people in here. But he kind of shakes it off and he says, "Sure, my friend. I'll give you an ale. What kind of ale? Anything in particular, or
The strongest.
the strongest is the best in the house, my friend?" And he pulls out this big mug, and it's an extra big mug, in fact. And then he starts pouring this golden ale into this clear mug. This is a special case here. You're getting a big one. And he fills that up and gives it to you. There goes, my friend. It's on the house. Drink up.
So I take the mug and I drink and drink and drink and drink and drink till there's almost nothing left in the mug.
Boy,
Yeah.
Constitution check.
Being thirsty.
Make a Constitution check. That's pretty fast drink. It's just a D20 plus your con modifier.
So 11.
That's what you got?
Yeah.
All right. You grab the mug, both hands, and you slam it. You just go glug, glug, glug. You obviously got a big, wide gullet. That stuff only takes a few glugs and it's down. Quite impressive. So impressive that several of the patrons next to you at the bar are actually quite impressed. They look up at you and, wow, holy smokes, what did this guy do? Yeah, they're quite impressed by what you just did. However, it only takes about 10 seconds after you put the mug down empty. About 10 seconds, you feel it. There's a sudden rush to your head, and you almost feel a head rush, like really dizzy all of a sudden. But your hands are on the bar. You steady yourself, and it kind of subsides. But yeah, that really hit hard. The bartender, also quite impressed, looks over at you, kind of in shock. He's just staring at you, his hands on a mug. He says, "Wow, friend, go easy on that." And he looks under the bar and he pulls out a different sort of mug, and he puts it on a smaller one, and he puts it on the thing, and he says, on the bar, and he says, "You have another? This is a smaller one. You want another?"
Not now.
Okay. Wise choice. Give it a break. That's particularly strong ale. We make it here in town in the brewery. In fact, that's well in demand all across Varisia. It's strong. And he kind of smirks at you and looks back to the other customers and starts waiting on them.
I've been looking all day for this place.
Yeah, you have. It took you 6 hours to find it. That's great. Oh, man. You hear sounds. It sounds like voices, kind of like it's like a classroom type of sounds where you hear this loud individual and then you hear these other individuals like replying to something, like as if it's a question. And this is coming from below you. Other than that, you don't hear anything unusual. Hold on a second.
Is there some way of seeing what's below, is it?
Well, it's a hardwood floor. I mean, sound will travel through it, but
got you.
Could be like there's like class in progress or something. You know this place to also be a place where they teach magic.
Yeah.
Gandethus himself, he teaches magic here. After about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, she comes back and she says, "The master will see you. Follow me."
Thank you.
Okay, she turns her back and goes through the same door she came. You follow her into this much bigger room. It might be 20 foot by 30 foot long, and you're traveling its length. And it's well ornamented. It has all kinds of fine rugs, and furniture, and some statues along the walls on shelves. It's actually a very beautiful room. It looks like he would entertain people here that he meets. But you bypass this room, and straight across the room, as you cross it, you come to a double doors. And she turns back to you, Fraken. She says, "The master is in here. He will see you." And she opens the door and holds it open for you. And in this chamber, maybe 20 foot squares, a little bit smaller, but 20 feet from the entryway, this large table. It's not really a desk, but it's a table. And there's all manner of trinkets on it. It looks like various pipes and smoking utensils are scattered about on it. And in a big chair next to this, facing you, is Gandethus himself. And he's dressed very, very fine, actually. He's got white robes. Again, he's got red lacing on it, but also a purple and a yellow as well. And he has this shoulder length kind of a dark brown hair, but with some white highlights in it. It's very well done, very well groomed. And he's got this mustache and goatee. His face, you can see it as you enter the room. His face looks older than it seems. He looks like an older soul inhabiting a younger body, if you know what I mean. An old soul of sorts. Barely see a hint of a wrinkle under his eyes or on his face, but you can tell with his white hair and his white in his hair, he's an aged man. He lifts his right hand from the chair and acknowledges you, and he says, "Welcome, my friends. And you are Fraken, and your friend, this Burafkus, the druid, a young man from the woods. I know of you." And as he pulls his hand away, you see it's very aged. His hand is very noticeably aged. You can see the wrinkles in it and the dryness of it. It just totally contrasts with the look of his face. Obviously, this man has been dealing in some kind of magic for probably all his life, and it's taken its toll, perhaps. "How can I help you?" he says to you, Fraken.
My friend Rafkus here, he's troubled by nightmares. He's been having them for a while now. I arrived yesterday. It's the first time I've seen him. He was in the middle of one when I arrived. They're very troubled. There's like fires burning towns, burning through the countryside, massive black pillars rising up from the ground. And basically, we'll tell him exactly what Rafkus told me about the nightmares.
As you say this to him, he lights up one of his pipes, and it creates a big waft of smoke that comes up from the chair. And you can smell it instantly, the fragrance of almost a rosy type of fragrance. It's very beautiful smell. And he immediately looks up at you, and he stands up as you're explaining this. He stands up from the chair and begins to pace around the other side of his table, listening intently to what you're saying. So your friend has been having nightmares, you say?
Yes.
And what do these nightmares have to do with me?
Our good friend Borba Shalivu, we spoke to him. He recommended that we may speak to you. He may be able to shed more light on it, or know of anything that's within the nightmare.
He cocks up his left eyebrow, and he looks at you with a tilted head. He kind of chuckles to himself. Voon is a fool. He is an exotic fellow, to be sure. But I know nothing of nightmares and dreams. My realm is in magic. As you know, I am sure.
Yes.
So what, again, I would ask you, what would this have to do with me?
He just suggested, Boom suggested that you may be able to help us.
I almost want to jump in as Rafkus and say, now listen here, you old fart. Because he would say something like that.
Yeah.
But he's holding himself, I think. Rafkus, he's holding his tongue. And then he walks over to Rafkus, kind of looks him in the eye, looks him up and down even. Rafkus looks a little bit put off by that, being a magic wielder himself, a young one, but he doesn't, take to this type of wizard and magic. But he asked Rafkus, so tell me, what ails you, my son? What is the problems of magic that you're having? And Rafkus kind of looks at him. His magic is there, but definitely different from what he practices. He doesn't know really what to say to this man. I mean, you guys know of Gandathos. You don't know the man personally. You get the sense that Gandathos is kind of like reading you, And I think Rafkus kind of senses that a lot. And it has to do with his connection with magic and Gandathos' connection with magic. And Rafkus feels a little bit nervous about the whole thing, even more so than earlier when it was just the dreams that were getting him. I don't know if it's the aura or whatever. This is what you sense from Rafkus. But Rafkus begins to open up and tell him a little bit about the recurring dreams he's having. And the emphasis here is on the recurring. And the recurring elements, of course, are the devastation that he saw, that was witnessed, the presence of these shadowy type, goblin type, hobgoblin type creatures. At least this is what Rafkus is describing to you and to him. That's what he saw. That's what he believes he saw. And these great pillars, these black onyx pillars that were miles around, they must have been coming up out of the hinterlands, piercing the sky, that just put the fear of everything in him, and turning about and looking at his hut and his forests burned to cinders. It was quite vivid and a horrible dream to have and to share again. And you can tell as Rafkus relates this detail to this wizard, Rafkus is shaken. It's like as if it was so vivid. It's more like an actual memory than it is a dream that never happened. And it does shake him quite a bit. And you can see as Rafkus begins to relate this tale, particularly near the end, where he's describing this body laying on the ground, and this larger goblinoid creature, bigger than man-sized, a shadowy greenish tinted creature with a great blade in his hand, step over this body in front of Rafkus. As he describes this in detail, Rafkus himself, in the presence of you, in the presence of this Gandathos, falls to his knee, both knees. His head is bowed and he looks upon the floor, shaken, quivering. His hands are clasped together almost in some kind of prayer, and his head falls to the floor. He's totally into this dream, and the vividness of relating it to you guys has shaken him once again. You, Fraken, how do you react to this?
I'm going to take him by his shoulders and lift him up.
As you try to lift him up, you fall down on a knee yourself, and at that point, Gandathos reaches down, points with his palm towards Rafkus, not touching him, but you can sense there's some kind of electricity in the air that surrounds his hand, and you can feel it. As you touch Rafkus, you actually feel the very energy that comes from the hand and goes into the body of Rafkus, and it pulsates like some kind of magic. You immediately feel this energy and pull away instinctively. And suddenly, as you look upon Rafkus's body, it begins to glow in a strange bluish aura. You can feel the energy, and you know it's a good energy. It's a very positive energy. And then it begins to dissipate. As Gandathos' hand pulls away slowly, and the glow fades. Gandathos looks towards you, Fraken, and he says, "Your friend, he sees something that is more than just a dream. It worries me, maybe more than it worries him, because I know a lot of things of magic." He takes a sigh.
Does he see the future?
Cannot tell, but I fear that what he sees could be a portent of doom, perhaps a certain doom. Perhaps a fate awaits. There is tales of this, so it is hinted at, in the past of Sandpoint. Tales I will not relate here. However, it is best to take care of this Rafkus. He is good for now. He will be well. He will not be harmed by dreams for some time. But you must watch your friend, Fraken.
I will.
You must be careful of him, and if he does have a dream of this again, you must tell me. As a matter of fact, you might hear from me sooner. I must contemplate what I have just read from your friend
Very
and
well.
think. For now, he is safe. You can take him back wherever you may to safety, and I will get in touch with you. And with that, he turns towards his chair and he begins to sit back down into this chair. The smoke ring is coming up. His eyes look to a window to his right, your left, where the outside sunshine and the blue sky. And he begins to fall into almost a contemplative state as he watches, listening to the children play outside. At this point, you pick up Rafkus and you can make your way out. The lady earlier opens the door for you. What do you do?
Well, thank you kindly, and I'll pass her a gold coin and say, I hope this will go some way to help with the children.
You turn and you flip the coin. And as the coin leaves your hand, you suddenly see a flicker and a light and a flash, and the coin disappears. Gandathos looks towards you. and then looks back to the window. You make your way out. The doors close behind you, and you make your way back out into the open courtyard. The kids are now gone from the courtyard. The ball sits alone, and the adult that was watching them is also gone. You head for the gates, which are still open, and you make your way back out into the streets, and you're hit with the sounds of Sandpoint as it's coming alive, anticipating the festival.